Bright QT. Every student matters.
Hello students. Now let's talk about our next topic here, that is urban local bodies. Now before the students, we have talked about the local rural bodies, in which we understood the three-tier Panchayati Raj system. At the ground level we have the Gram Panchayat, then at the middle level we have the Gram Panchayat Samiti, and at the topmost level we have Jila Parishad. So this was in the rural local bodies here. Now when we are talking about the urban local bodies, now you must understand the difference here between the rural and the urban local bodies. So we have seen that two amendment acts were passed in the year 1992. So one was 73rd Amendment Act and one was 74th Amendment Act. So under 74th Amendment Act, we see that the provisions that were made were done for the urban local bodies, also known as Nagar Palikas, as you must have heard this term. Now this was also known as the Nagar Palika Act, that was mainly for the urban local bodies. Now here we are seeing that rural and urban local bodies are treated differently. Definitely students. Now when we look at the Development Act, the village level, and when we are looking at the developments that have happened at the urban level, right, in the cities, metropolitan, be it a small, be it a big or a metropolitan city there. So another act was passed that came into force in 1993, right? Here what are we seeing? That some of the major important points in the urban local bodies or the functions is that in this body direct elections took place. There were reservations, right? Reservations of seat, as in 1/3 of the seat was reserved for women, as we have also seen in what? When we are talking about the rural local body, and you have already learnt about that as well. Now, the transfer of subjects from the state list. In this we see that the many of the subjects that was in the state list was now transferred here in the urban local bodies under this section. Now another important point here is the introduction or the establishment of State Election Commission, right? Done for the election purposes at the urban level. State Finance Commission, that was related to the handling the revenue of the urban local bodies. Now, when we are talking about the urban local bodies based on the area, we have different local bodies in this. Now here you are going to understand about two, that is municipal councils, and the second one is municipal corporation. Now when we are talking about municipal council and municipal corporation, keep that in mind that municipal council, it refers to smaller urban areas, and when we are talking about municipal corporation, it means it refers to the larger urban areas. So municipal corporation is the highest local government institution working in each urban area. So this is municipal. Okay. So you have understood this part here. When we are talking about municipal corporation, it means that we are referring to larger urban areas, right? So here they are responsible, or they are the highest local body, the government working body here. Now when we are talking about the state list, the transfer of the subjects from state list, let us see that what are these subjects that have been given under these urban local bodies. So subjects like town planning, economic and social development, construction and maintenance of roads, water supply, public health and sanitation. Now these are some of the subjects that these local bodies, the urban local bodies, have to deal with, right? So you must remember what subjects they come under the urban local bodies here. In municipal corporation, it has one of its elected members as the head and called as president with vice president under him. Now, when we are talking about municipal corporation, we see that it also has members. The head is known as president, right? Quite common thing here. And under him, we have the vice president. Okay, that has been elected. Students, the last important point that you have to understand here is the important features of local self-government. We have talked about the local rural body here, as well as we have talked about the urban body, right? So, let us understand some of these important features here of the local self-government. So, it is constitutionally mandatory to hold regular elections to local government bodies. First point that you have to keep in mind is about the regular elections that have to be held at the local level. The second point is seats are reserved in the elected bodies and executive heads for weaker section of society. Here we are talking about the 1/3 reservation of seats for women as well as for the weaker sections that includes OBCs, SCs and STs. I also talked about the reservation of women here that can come under this point. State Election Commission has been created in each state to conduct panchayat and municipal elections. State governments are required to share powers and revenue with local government bodies. So here you have to understand 2 points. That State Election Commission, they have been created in each state, right? And why have been they created? You have already learnt about the term that is Election Commission, and also you must have heard it. You are going to learn it in your next chapter though. So, State Election Commission is responsible for conducting elections at state level and also the conducting of panchayat and municipal elections. State governments are required to share powers and revenue. Yes, very important point here. That the state government, they are responsible for sharing the revenue, the funds that have to be given to the local government bodies. State Finance Commission examines the financial position of local governments in the state once in 5 years. Now here we see that another commission has been formed, that is the State Finance Commission. The main idea here is to examine the financial position of these local governments. Reviews the distribution of revenues between the state and local governments. Quite important point here. That they have to review the distribution of revenue, right? That is happening between the state and local government, right? Rights of Adivasis are protected by a separate act in 1996. Like you have learned that reservation is there. In the same ways, rights of Adivasis have also been protected by a separate act passed in the year 1996. All the 3 levels of Panchayati Raj are directly elected by people for 5 years. Now, when we understood about the essence of democracy that is enshrined in this whole idea of Panchayati Raj system, the local self-government system, we said that direct elections take place, right? And people are involved in these elections. 29 subjects of state list have been transferred to panchayats by the constitution included in 11th schedule. The transfer of state list has been done there. Transfer of some of the subjects, as in 29 subjects of the state list, has been done in the panchayats.